Abigail Watkins, and this is another episode of Behind the Badge. Today we've got Detective Steve Cobb with us. Behind the Badge is an initiative that we've been starting in our office to try to bring to light some of the great things that police officers do on and off the job. So today we're going to talk with Steve about some relief efforts that he's put together throughout Kentucky and around the country. So tell us a little bit about what brought you to law enforcement. How did you end up in this area, and where are you from, that kind of stuff?
I'm from Frankfort, Kentucky.
Okay.
Went to school there at Franklin County. Went to school at Center College.
We've got a lot of Center graduates in our office.
Graduated from there. Played football while I was there, so had a good time. Got out of school. Decided I would get into some computer work at that time, and that was kind of the wild west of the internet. Had a good time, but decided desk job was not for me. Majority of my family's in some sort of service-related background. Either they're police or they're teachers or educators of some kind. I didn't think I was going to do really good in the classroom at that point, so I decided I'd become a police officer. Joined the police department in 2001 and kind of been there for the last 15 years.
And so that's right around the time of September 11th.
It was. That was a defining moment for people in my career where you're at. That something happened on such a national scale where people were lives were devastated and hurt. But the other side of that was we got to kind of see how the rest of the country and law enforcement reached out to try to help. The same thing happened shortly thereafter in 2005 with Katrina, and I saw where that became kind of more of a law enforcement issue with the people there. So that it made me want to kind of try to reach out and help those people. But at that time in my career and where I was at, I really didn't have the flexibility or the time on to do those things down there. And it was difficult again for me to find an outlet and a way to help and balance that with, your family life, my work life, and what I could do. Yeah. So a little past that, I decided, outside of what was going on, whether I did it as an officer or I did it as on my own time, that the next time an opportunity came up, I was going to do whatever it could. And a lot of times people get paralyzed in that, whether it's civilian or anything else, that, what can I do to help, as opposed to just give a hand, get up and do something. And I'm kind of one of those people that would just rather get in there and maybe do something not as well as I could the first time, but at least try and see where I go from there. So the efforts I've started with trying to get law enforcement to help has been primarily around trying to help other first responders. Unfortunately, in these situations when something happens, a flood, a catastrophic event, first responders are the last ones to actually get help because they're having to help and they're not really going to ask for help, myself included. It's really tough for us to reach out and ask for that. So when the tornadoes hit Salyersville, I got together a group because not only the sheriff but other police department and actually Lexington went down there to act as patrol function for a little while. To assist with that, we got a group of police officers to go down there to help other first responders when we showed up. When we did, not only do we benefit from the training experience we have here in Lexington, everything from incident command to understanding how, just how larger groups work, we were able to really make a significant impact with a pretty good group down there. We did the same for Hurricane Sandy. We did the same for some tornadoes in Oklahoma. And when the flooding happened in Johnson County, it's just become a little bit easier for us to get these groups together, organized to move. This time, however, I'm a member of Crossroads Christian Church, and we have a missional community there that kind of works around helping first responders and families cope with everyday stress, job stress, helping out any way we can to kind of be that helping hand that maybe as a first responder family, it's just not easy to ask for that help when it's out there. So when this happened in Johnson County, we had some direct connections with first responders there, some troopers, some deputies, and their extended families in the area that had all been affected. And a lot of times, unfortunately, in these events when they happen, let's take the Oklahoma thing, there's not a whole lot of fixing to do. Sometimes things are just destroyed. But for first responders to know someone is coming from out of the area, to just kind of stand alongside you. Now, a lot of that has to do, my belief as a Christian, but then just as a member of the bigger law enforcement family, that we're willing to go the extra mile, even if it's just for a couple days or even a couple hours. We're willing to kind of extend our hand and help. And sometimes from a department standpoint, that's tough. Yeah. We're short-staffed with people, we're short-staffed with resources already, so from an official capacity to send somebody to a short-term thing like that, it's not something that the Lexington Police Department or even Lexington as a city wouldn't want to send people. It's just resource-wise, it's difficult. So on our own time, we're able to still get a lot of community support, especially from the FOP, from our churches, from the community itself here in Lexington to go. So Johnson County, we did that. It took a good group, not all first responders. A lot of it was civilians and friends and family to go down there, and it makes a big impact, not only on the people we go to help, but the people that go on the trip itself.
Sure, absolutely. Bonding experience, I'm sure. And like you were saying, it's not necessarily about profession. It's just more about what you feel like as a person. You see a problem, you can make a difference.
Absolutely. When I say first responder, that includes police, fire, EMS,
sure.
emergency room nurses, prosecutors. Unfortunately, in the tragic events we've seen recently, even the news.
Yeah.
A lot of reporters, their job, what their mission is totally different than ours. But there's not a bad situation that every one of those reporters and camera guys don't have to respond to the same way we do. So often or not in these terrible situations, there's people that want to do everything they can to run away from them, but there's groups here in the community that have to run towards those situations, and those are the people that we try to reach out to and try to kind of be a helping hand to.
That's one of the other goals of this project that we're working on right now, is just to make sure that all those people are on the same team. We all have the same goal, just to make a change, and so
it has to be an intentional effort by people to reach out without knowing that you're going to get anything back. You may not get the support or the recognition later on for what happens, but if you only help one person, it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
And that sometimes it's difficult for people with busy schedules, with families, with kids and everything, but bottom line, if you make that a priority, is trying to help other people, and you just happen to be a police officer, a fireman, a nurse, or a prosecutor, it seems to make everything else fall in line priority-wise in your life. So that's kind of how I've tried to live, and I'm not perfect by any means. I screw up a lot, but I try to stay that line as best I can and help others.
Well, we'll switch over to a lighter note. Another thing that you do outside of your day-to-day job is participating in the Highland Games.
I do.
We just think that's so interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I guess a couple of years ago I entered the first Scottish Highland Games to just kind of. I've been in athletics my whole life, but the older I get,
I never would have thought that. Just based on that.
the slower I get. So participating in team sports and being part of a team and competing is something that it's important to me.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and those kind of games is something too. It's my father-in-law is really big into his Scottish genealogy. We've gone to the games themselves, so been able to kind of participate by being part of that, and it's something that I can do for a while, and it's enjoyable. It's a good time.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and thanks for just helping us highlight a little bit about the officers who do so much to help our community. Stay tuned for future episodes of Behind the Badge to get to know more of our Lexington police officers and learn about some of their exemplary work that the public seldom gets to hear about.